was like this loud bang.
Yeah, me? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So we've got some other people that have joined. This is our first blab, so this is kind of cool. I'm recording it and see what happens. This is cool.
This is exciting.
I'm blabbing. So, and got my whiskey.
Oh.
So I don't know.
I don't have any whiskey. Should I have a drink?
Possibly, yeah. So we can just kick it off. I know it's like 10 minutes early, but you know, the biggest part. Let's chat for 9 minutes until it comes it's time, and then I'll stop the recording. I'll keep it recording. Screw it. So we're going to record. We're going to chat. We're going to blab, talk about business, mindset, all that kind of stuff. And if anyone wants to join us, they're welcome to join. This is cool. I just found out about blab like a couple weeks ago, and I got Nelson W. Trent. Cool. He can hear it. It's awesome. What brand? Oh, we're drinking. I got Jameson's. You know, I've tried. My favorite is Writer's Tears, but I just, I always go back to the JMO. It's wonderful. So I'm gonna bring. Hey, Trent wants to join us. This is cool. This is fun. Blabbing's cool.
Yeah, blabbing.
Hey, what's up, you guys?
Trent, what's going on?
Nothing much.
So where are you from?
I am in Los Angeles County, California.
How cool is that? So you just decided to join and start blabbing with us and see what happens?
Yeah, I actually I'm actually a marketing consultant, and tons of my friends are blabbing every day.
It's cool, man. Yeah. I found out like 2 weeks ago, somebody said, hey, check this thing out. And so I was like, all right. So I was in between client calls, and I jumped on a blab with they were doing like a talk about consulting and coaches. And I clicked the button, and all of a sudden I'm talking to these people in New York. I'm like, this is really cool. And so we just started chatting about ideas, and I had to jump on a call. I came back, and it's just such a really natural conversation. I thought, yeah, I'm going to start this up. So you've got some friends that are doing this in marketing, and they're using it well.
Definitely. Yeah. And the funny thing is that it connects directly to Twitter. Mm-hmm. And initially, I think whoever you're following on Twitter that's also on Blab, you also follow them here naturally. But the greatest thing about it is that there are tons of people that have followed me on Twitter just because I was commenting.
Totally, that's the same with me. Yeah, I realized that this morning, and I got added to several lists as well, which is very cool for getting out there.
Definitely.
Yeah, very cool. So we've got a whole bunch of people. Oh, it looks like a whole bunch of people have joined. This is really cool. Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, and I sort of equated it to, if you're just like sitting, like Nicole, actually, you and I were talking about this, and just like if we're just sitting at the coffee shop and people are eavesdropping on our conversation, they go, hey, what are you guys talking about? Can I join? And that's pretty much what ends up happening. And then all of a sudden it sort of creates this organic conversation. So yeah, I'm gonna test this out and have some fun with it. So I'm originally when I like about 3 years ago, when I was just really ramping up my business, I came up with this idea for Whiskey Fridays, which was going to be more of like a YouTube series where I would do this stuff. But the problem with that was it was going to be like a lot of production values, all this stuff you had to do. And it was sort of defeated the purpose of what I wanted to do, which was basically, it's never a bad time to just talk business and personal developments, which is never a bad time to have a whiskey. And so it's like, and Fridays are perfect.
Not a lot of people are into whiskey. Like I don't drink beer, and vodka tastes like poison to me.
Yeah.
Rubbing alcohol.
Yeah. It's delicious. But I just thought it'd be some fun. And so, yeah, that's how it kind of came about. And so I thought, what a perfect medium to be able to do this. And Nicole and I had coffee yesterday, and I said, hey, you need 2 people to blab. So let's start this thing off.
Let's just blab.
Okay. So Nicole, what do you do?
I'm a marketing consultant here in Victoria as well. Sorry if my voice is a little bit hoarse. I'm just getting over a cold. So I mostly do social media marketing.
What about you, Joe?
I do sales consulting. And so I work with small, medium companies, big companies, just helping them fight the good fight and, make some more sales. Just, I say stuff, have fun. That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And how long, Trent, how long you been doing what you're doing?
Probably like 3 years.
Okay. And what sort of
huh?
Keep talking. Keep going.
Yeah. And even like before I became like
Sorry, you cut out there. Oh, disappeared. you went blank. Okay.
Maybe bad connection.
Yeah. So you know what? We're gonna probably kick off the content pretty quick here, but yeah, Nicole and I have worked together on a number of projects, and so I just said, come and join me on this blab, and we're going to talk about, as the title says, scarcity and ownership mentality. We've done a lot of work on just sort of the idea of like not being so worried about your business, giving yourself permission to be normal. I always call it like, don't be weird, right? Just be normal, do good work and have fun, and, you know, make an impact for your customers. And one of the big things that always comes up is this scarcity mentality and this like sort of fear of, you know, there's not enough customers out there for us. So Nicole, maybe talked about, you know, some of the stuff that we've talked about. Give us your sort of 2 cents on that.
As far as the scarcity?
Yeah, just scarcity. I mean, you've gone through a bunch of changes this year on the scarcity mindset. So just chat about that.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting. Yeah, it was really interesting coming to Victoria because it's a smaller city. I came here about 2 years ago from Calgary. So just the population difference, the idea behind business, the flow of how quickly people do business. There was a lot here. And immediately, once I started networking and getting involved in the business community, what I heard a lot of was that the market is really tough to break into. And why was that? Was that because there wasn't a lot of people who wanted to spend the money? That was definitely one of the things or recurring items that kept coming up was people don't want to spend money here, which... Yeah. You know, people come here. It's not a cheap place to live. Yep. So, you know, there's people here with money. You know, there's a ton of small businesses. There's a huge tech sector here in Victoria, actually. So there is the money to be spent. But a lot of people were kind of coming off as scared, really concerned about money, really concerned about where my next paycheck is coming from. And, you know, that's not really... a positive way to start going into business conversations is real like, hey, do you need this? I really need this. Like you said, being the salesy weirdo, because another thing that you've said before too, is you can smell sales breath. And, you know, as soon as you start thinking about the money factor, as soon as you start thinking that there's not enough business, that everybody I need to meet, I need to sell to, then, you know, people can smell that and people can feel that. And so over this past year, especially after talking to you about the money conversation, was, you know, if you don't think about money, the money is going to come because they're not, you don't stink. You don't have that salesy smell, right? Yeah. So I started to kind of change my mindset and attitude towards how you're actually approaching businesses, how you're approaching, your introduction about your company, more about what, you know, you can offer as a solution rather than this is what I can do for you. Do you need it? How this is how much it costs. Do you have the money? Immediately after I started becoming more self-aware as far as how I was talking to people and what my focus actually was, being the consultant rather than being the salesperson, I did start to notice that the sales came a lot more easily. Yeah. And like we were talking about yesterday, my, revenue this year has gone up 10 times. So, I mean, it does make a difference. And I know you call it money priming, right? So it's a huge factor, I think, in especially young people who don't really know how to approach the subject or who have just started their business. You are worried about paying your bills, but you can't bring that into the conversation. That's not what the conversation's about.
Absolutely. I've got Clash of Arrows. I think my man Didier is on there. He says a lot of people don't really understand that money is less actual cash and more like flesh currency. The relationships and interactions are paychecks themselves.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
Totally.
The first client that I ever landed, I was really nervous about it, and I didn't charge. Like my current hourly rate is anywhere between like $350 to $500. I was charging well below that. I was working like crazy, but I loved the company. I loved the business. I loved, their values and all that good stuff. And I slowly but surely raised my prices, and they actually referred one of their partners to me. And their partner was literally like, I know you have this, big presentation, but we just want to work with you. So like, can you give us a way to pay you? Because we want you to be available to us. And as soon as that happened to me, it really clicked that like it's about relationships. And that people will literally throw money at you if you're proven, if they know someone that knows that you do good work, if they've been eyeing, their, the people that the people that they work with have been working with. Like again, these were like partner companies, meaning like the founder of the original company co-founded the other company. And his business partner was essentially like, we need a consultant like this. We need someone to revamp our entire brand and our entire web presence, but we just don't want to hire web guys for it.
Yeah.
So you build those relationships and it makes it incredibly easy to get paid. Just like, okay, here you go. Pay right here.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is I remember like that same idea of raising prices. I think the lower your prices are, the less value people have in them. And so they expect more for if your price is low, they expect even more. The higher your price is, the more they're willing to commit. Are you guys getting feedback from my microphone? Is it loud? It just goes loud in my ear. Maybe it's different. I'll switch headsets. But yeah, that's the one thing I noticed is the more you raise your prices, the more that your clients actually do the work and they get involved, and there's this ownership mentality, this partnership mentality in the things that you do. So that's, for me, that was the big realization is it's not so much that we have to a lot of people make decisions from their own pocketbook, from their own wallet to say, would I invest in this? And I don't know if I can afford this. But when you start to like move levers for your clients and help them make something happen, it's worth money. It's not this, like, people have this weird association with money that, it has all this power. I know Nicole and I talked about this so many times where, we're just like, we give it all this power, but essentially money doesn't do anything on its own, right? So there's really no scarcity out there. Money has to, be involved in doing something for your client. And if you can help them, push buttons and move levers, then it's worth something to them. And all you're trying to do is figure out what that exchange is. And so that's something that we talk a lot about is just, it's not about the money. It's about what are we going to get done as partners. And that's why I talk a little bit about this ownership mentality is when you start thinking like an employee and that you're sort of a vendor and you're trying to like ask for permission to help your client. That's where you start to lose ground and you start to not be able to help them the right way.
Yeah, I think that totally comes back to the employee mentality. And, when you're charging only a little bit of money and they're, have these high expectations from you, what they expect from you is more because they're treating you, they're seeing you as an employee. They put harder deadlines on you. They take more control of the relationship. They are in control of the relationship, and you're no longer a partner. And that's really, when you're a consultant, you want to be a partner, and you have to have that ownership mentality in order to get out of that employee mindset and actually start working with them on a level that allows you to, do what you're good at.
Totally.
What you're bringing to the table, which is really hard step to get over. It's really hard to go from an employee to an owner and then take a step back and have that ownership mentality because you're used to being the employee and just taking direction.
Yeah. And that's a big part is, when you start a business is you think like an employee. And so you start to invent a bunch of work to do, which is not really the case. You need to invent things that are going to help you, be more efficient. I like what Clash of Arrows here is saying, Didier is saying, you can have a Ferrari, but with no keys, you ain't moving nowhere. That's great. And that's it. If you've got a great business and you have a potential client that has a great business, and they're not knowing how to take it in the right direction, that's worth something to them. And so there's no scarcity of people that are out there that want to work with you. It's just a scarcity in your own mind. I remember for me is when I first launched my business, it was, I thought, I'm just going to dip my toes in the market that I work in. And hopefully, maybe I can convince some people to give me some money. And I was apologetic almost about asking for money because I thought, well, how dare, who am I to ask you to give me money? But then I started to, as I built my brand and start to land clients across, from Canada all the way to the other side to the US and then international. I'm like, wait a minute, these are problems that people have all over the world. We just have to figure out the right exchange for money. And it's not the money. It's like solving problems that's meaningful for both parties. And so that's kind of was like the big aha when it came to scarcity. There's really no scarcity out there. It's just the work that you're going to do to go and solve problems in a meaningful way.
So something I've actually, I still deal with this even when people are throwing money at my face to work for them. I worry about making money for the people that I work with.
Yeah.
Because for me, I know in my business, it's all about the bottom line. If I'm hiring someone, I want to know how is this going to make me more money? Like it's great that you want to design my new website. Like if a freelancer is pitching me and they say, I do this, I do web design and all this, that's the first question I ask them. How are you going to make me more money? Because like my current website is perfectly fine. So how are you going to do this? People don't ask me this question. Like I only ask freelancers this question because I'm skilled in sales and I know how to cut through bullshit.
Yeah.
But people don't ask me this question, but I think it to myself. And that kind of screws with you when you're trying, even just when you're trying to decide whether to work with someone and you have to think about it. Like I've turned down probably 3 clients in the past 6 months because I was like, I don't think I will be able to I don't think they will be able to make back their investment. I don't think there's enough work for me to do that would even warrant us working together.
Yeah. And that's huge. That's really big, is the ability to say, I don't need this business. It doesn't make sense. I don't feel like this is going to be a good partnership. I don't feel like we're going to help you with what you're trying to do, and maybe go and try these things before you take your money, which is really cool. And that's exactly what when you move into having your own business and you're helping clients, you got to think about what would help you as a business owner, not how you're going to get money from somebody else. So I really like that. That's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, me too.
And also, you run into these people, and like this one guy in particular, he owns a print shop, and he said, because I told him, I essentially said, here's a bunch of materials that I want you to read through, and you can figure this out on your own. You don't need to pay me, this much money per hour to help you do this when you have people on your staff that can do this for you. And he said, I hope you don't think, and this made me cringe. He said, I hope you don't think it's a budget thing. He's like, I can pay you and I want to pay you. And I said, that's not it. It's not about how much money you have or you don't have. That's completely, he's like, I just want to make sure you didn't get a broke vibe from me. And I said no.
Ego thing on his part.
Yeah, and I told him, I said no. I said I don't think that you're at the point where you need me to come in. I said you need to build a foundation, because he's not, like, his shop isn't online, period. So I said, get online first. Like, I'm a digital strategist, but you need to get online first. Create a website. And I sent him to a web designer. I sent him to someone that'll set up all of his social media profiles, get that going. And I said, I can build a strategy, but I can't, like it would be incredibly ineffective to pay me $500 an hour to set up a Twitter profile.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend your money like that, because it's not going to be worth it. And I can create a digital marketing plan for you, and you're not going to know what to do with it. Totally. You're not going to know who to hand it off to. So just like having those tough conversations, that messes with your head too, because you're like, people are trying to give me money, but you, and they're worried about you judging them when really you're kind of judging yourself.
For sure.
You're like, how do I make this situation right? Because I know that I'm not needed right now.
You're bang on. There's 3 things that I've added to my business to really help my clients this year. Is one, I've created sort of I've got a couple different programs that I put together, but for the sales consulting side is I've created a shared risk, shared reward program, so that, it's a less upfront investment, because I'm really confident with what results I can bring. But to have somebody, outlay a whole bunch of money at the beginning, that's the conversation I don't really need to have, is that, we can prove this and we ramp this up so that if we don't hit the numbers, then it doesn't really affect us negatively. But when we do hit it, everybody gets paid. So that's one sort of program I've been putting together. The other one is I have a complete risk reversal, that if we don't, hit the targets that we have, let's just adjust that invoice to whatever we feel is fair, so that, eventually this is how I would want somebody to work with me as a partnership. And then at the other end is that allows us to have more meaningful conversations at the front end, saying, what's most important to your business. And if they just want me to, I have one client that just wanted me to come in and do a workshop, for their sales team. And I said, that's really not going to help you long term. I'd rather partner with you for the next 3 months to a year. Let's figure out how to make that work, because that's where you create change. Because I've been to so many sales workshops where the guy comes in as an entertainer just to collect a check, riles up the team like an uncle giving you candy, and then he leaves. Everybody just goes back to what they're doing. And that's not how, that's not meaningful for me as a trainer, as a consultant. I want to be able to come in and see my clients succeed long term. And if we can't make them succeed, I don't want their money. And I don't really want the testimonial that says, Joe came in and nothing happened, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to build into my business model, so that everybody I work with, we can do something meaningful, because that's why I started a business. Otherwise, keep a job, right?
Well, that's what this whole scarcity thing is. When you think there's no more business, you're willing to take anything for a buck.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start realizing that there's a lot out there and there's a lot for you to offer, then it's okay to start turning things down. You don't fit your goals aren't aligned with what I'm able to deliver. And just like Trent, you were saying with that print shop, like, I don't need the business, so I'm not going to take it on. Without thinking, like, this isn't going to do you anything, even though you have money.
Yeah.
But the people who are in that scarcity mindset don't really align their values. They start to get customers or clients that they hate working with. And then they start hating their job, because they're no longer the owner anymore. They're being run by a bunch of people, and they're working 8 jobs now.
Yeah.
So it really does affect, like, how happy you are within your business, the value you're able to provide your clients, and then ultimately, how happy you are within your own business.
I don't know if you guys do this, but I just give people's money back all the time.
Yeah.
Number one, if they're a disaster client, like if I made a mistake in my client selection, I'll just be like, take the money back. I'll send it to you. You want a check? Or you want a PayPal? I can send it to you through PayPal, or I can write you a check. Also, if someone's not happy, do the same thing. Like it literally only it happens like less than 3 times a year, where someone hires me, and I don't feel that it's right, and I'll just go, okay, I can't do that.
Hey, let's, because I'm just learning how this Blab thing works. You've got people that have joined on the side. So we got all these people that all these things. Let's get some comments out there, maybe some questions. I learned that if you do like /Q, it says questions, so we know that it's a question. Let's get some comments, questions, or if anybody wants to join, we've got another seat.
Yeah, there's another seat.
Yeah. Mike? I don't know. We're just trying this out. This is the first time I've done a Blab, and it's cool. We met Trent. We're having fun. I'm drinking whiskey. It's a great time. So anybody have a question or comment, something that they want us to talk about or blab about, I guess? I can use the words, right?
Yeah.
How about Mike Bunk? M. Bunk. I see you there. Yeah, come on, brother. But we Nicole was mentioning I do a lot of work on like psychology and neuroscience, and there's this concept that I always talk about. It's called money priming, and it's really, really fascinating, our association with money. And there was a study I was reading in I think I have the book Thinking Fast and Slow. If anybody wants a killer book, it's can you see this? This is a good one. Thinking Fast and Slow, and there's all sorts of psychology studies in this. And the one that I love is on money priming. They did these studies where they put people into these, they would have conversations with them, and some of the conversations they would talk about money and profit and cash flow, or they'd show them screensavers about money and cash. And then the control group, they didn't talk about any of that kind of stuff. Then they put them into these scenarios where one group would sit at these tables and they'd fill out surveys, and somebody would drop pencils. And the group that was primed with money would pick up about half as many pencils as the group that wasn't. And so then the next group, they put them into this other scenario where they said, you're going to take these 2 chairs and go have a conversation with somebody else. The group that was primed with money would put it about 118 centimeters apart, and the group that wasn't was only like 80 centimeters apart. So all these theories around money and the way we think about it is, when we're thinking about it subconsciously, we distance ourselves from others and we put up these invisible barriers, and we're less likely to help. And that's where I talk about, Nicole was saying about sales breath. We can tell when somebody wants something from us, and that's the hardest thing when I'm teaching sales, is just stop being so salesy, stop being this weirdo, and just talk to people like a human. Like, have it just be 2 humans talking, and stop. Like, I hear people either on one end being really salesy and the other end being really fake, and we're trying to bridge that gap and just be normal, man. So
actually, I always tell people to be as weird as your clients are.
Yeah,
because I'm naturally a weirdo, and I work with people that you go into their studio and they're not wearing shoes. So they're going barefoot and they're working, they're like on their laptop sitting there sipping, espresso, and they're like, "Hey Trent, what's up?" So I work with weird people, and they're like, "Hey, if you want to take your shoes off, you can totally do that." And I don't know any other business owner who's just like, "Hey, take your shoes off and walk around with your dirty feet on our floor."
Yeah. What, and here I'll clarify that is not like, you can be as weird as you want. As long as you're normally weird, that's fine. What I'm saying is the weirdness factor is when I listen to sales calls or I listen to people talk, and let's say we're talking right now normally, if I listen to you talking to somebody else, what's the gap between that, how you present and how you are normally? And can we close that gap so you're naturally authentic as fast as possible, as consistent as possible? So if your clients are, I'm not saying people are weird, I'm saying if your clients are eccentric or unique and you can communicate with them, that's building rapport, right?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I have a client as well, and they don't wear shoes in their office. They're actually engineers, which is really funny because they all have these funny like animal slippers that they wear. And it's awesome because I'm pretty casual. That's why I love being in charge of my own business. You can be who you want to be. You don't have to be what somebody is expecting of you. And that's when your relationships really get tight and you really start to be able to connect with the people you're trying to help. And of course, the conversations, just like this, like they just flow so naturally. There's never any awkward moments. And then again, when the talk about the money comes up, it's not a weird thing either. It's not hesitant. It's not it's not uncomfortable. And it's just kind of, you have this mutual understanding of where each other are at and that you guys can both deliver. Because that's important too, is that the client fulfills on their end as well. And you have to be able to, like you were saying yesterday, with those feedback loops and being able to get that feedback and make sure that they're able to give you what you need so that you can keep giving them what they need.
Yeah. It's huge. Yeah, it's huge to be, have that partnership mentality that you're going into this, entering a relationship, and there shouldn't be a push and pull. There shouldn't be if I'm the one that's paying, I'm not in charge. It's like we're working together to solve something. And if there is a disconnect in that control, then you have to sort of correct that and create the feedback in it. Because for me, I never got into business to have more people boss me around. Right?
Yeah.
So, I don't want to be like a business bully being like, this is how I believe. I want to be able to learn through this process and constantly test. And as we do things, to be able to learn more about me and my business so I can better, it's just always constant feedback, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm going to try something because I'm learning Blab. So you see on our screens, there's you can see these little things. It's called give props. I can give Nicole props. Look at that. I'm giving her props. I'm giving Trent props. Okay, click on the bottom right of this. Oh, people, I'm getting props. Oh yeah, that's cool. And I learned that these don't actually matter. They don't add up anywhere. Once we're done this, it goes away. So you can give me as many props as you want. It doesn't matter. It makes me feel good about myself and my life. It shows who's cooler. So obviously we know who's cool right now. So we're going to have a cool off, even though Nicole's last name is what?
Coulerier. Well, you call it Coulier.
Coulier. So she's Coulier. Yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. So she's definitely going to win. Come on, Clash of Arrows. Didier, you're killing me here, brother. So anybody have a question? Let's if you guys have some questions about business, how about this? I'll preface it. If you have a business or you're going out and you're trying to present your offer, you're talking to somebody or you're trying to get a client and maybe you're worried about, how to present it, or you run into a specific scenario in your dialogue where you sort of stall up. Maybe it's asking for them to commit, or maybe it's trying to figure out how to not seem like an employee and how we can phrase it to be a strategic partner. If anybody has a question, put it in the comments and we can go through that. Let's be interactive, guys. This is Blab, not like me just saying things and Nicole and Trent just saying at you. We're trying to have some fun. I want to drink whiskey and say things. So let's go.
And you're almost done your whiskey.
You're never almost done your whiskey.
You kept your bottle beside your computer.
Oh, absolutely. It's right here. Yeah. It's good to go.
Full bottle on the side.
Yeah. I got the backup and the backup, but it's good. Yeah, it's funny, just this ownership mentality, as we were talking yesterday, is being able to go in and when you're qualifying your customers, you're trying to look for that cause and effect of not just what they're telling you they need, but as they're explaining, you're asking more deeper questions. You're finding implication of what they're saying so that you can say, that's interesting. What about this? What about this? So that before you say, here's the service, like you were saying, Trent, is you might say, actually, what you're asking for is not what you need. Right. What we're talking about is, I think you're going the wrong direction. And that's where you have the ownership mentality. You have to give yourself permission to have a real conversation with your clients. And if you don't give yourself permission to do that, then you're really not serving them. Right. So maybe talk about that for a sec. Yeah.
Joe, I think a lot of people struggle with connecting what their clients need with what their clients want. Because a lot of clients will say, this is what I want and this is what I need. But you'll look at their business and you'll say in your head, no, you don't. And you need to, in order to sell them, you have to figure out how to give them what they need and phrase it in a way where they know that they're getting what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to deliver on both, but when you're having that discussion with them, you have to essentially, you have to give them what they're asking for. And if you don't, then they're not going to feel comfortable paying you. And I think that's a really big part of sales that people struggle with. How do you deal with that?
How do I deal with that?
Yeah.
Well, one of the tools that I use is I get a lot of people that ask me, should I have a sales script, or should I just, it's not natural to be scripted, but at the same time, when I wing it, I really don't know what to say. I get lost. And so what I always build is I build frameworks. And so we look at almost like an educational tool as a rubric to say, here's your conversation roadmap. And as long as you and I use it for all my sales calls, and it really helps me stay sane and not weird, so that I know what flow. And before you jump in and start offering something, you better be crystal clear that what you're going to offer is going to resonate and connect with them on a deeper level than just a basic pitch. And so what I look at is there's about 6 areas. I always talk about how quickly can you be authentic. That's the first one. The second one is your ability to ask questions. And the question ability is to be able to say, so why are you interested in looking at this? How long have you been thinking about doing that? What are you thinking about for a plan? How do you want to roll this out? And whatever they tell you from there, before you say, okay, here's what we're going to do, then you ask what I call a level 2 question, which is clarification on something that they said. Because if they just tell you the surface stuff, they're only going to tell you enough because they've already prefabricated in their mind what they need. But the next question is the thing that digs deeper and uncovers sort of a hidden need. And then whatever they say there, we try and go one level deeper and really get clarification. The deeper we go with the questioning, the more they start to frame the problem that they have in a different way. And so before we rush in and start to share our big idea or our solution to it, we need to resist that urge to jump in and solve. And I always say it's like, that skipping rope game, double dutch, right? Where somebody's like waiting for their turn to jump in. That's what I hear when I hear salespeople selling, or anybody trying to sell. They're just waiting for their turn to jump in and vomit their business crap over everybody, right? And so it's just like you hold back on that and say, you know what? Based on what you're telling me, based on what's going on, let's look at how we can actually solve that together. And you're going to create a bigger need based on that. But if you just go in and try and solve what they ask, and you, like for you, Trent, you've probably done your business hundreds of times, hundreds of conversations, and your clients have only had this conversation maybe once or twice. Who's more able to dig deeper on this conversation? It's going to be you. And so if you have expertise in any industry, you have to be able to help your customers see the bigger picture. So that's my answer.
Definitely. And I actually have a, what would I call them? They're based like I coach them, and it's like a part coach, part consultant. And they're opening a digital marketing agency in Seattle. And one of the biggest things that she would ask me, she would tell me constantly, she would go, I hate their website. They need a new website, but they don't want a new website. And I said, you can't think of, she's like, their website looks shitty. It's not right. And I would always say, like, it doesn't matter. If they absolutely do not think they need a new website, either one or two things. Either you are not going to be able to sell them on a website, or you can add in the website. So if they need help with their branding and with their, Facebook marketing or whatever, and they need a new website, just add that in. That's all you have to do, is add it in and just like, just sweep it under the rug, and they'll go, great. you did all of these amazing things with Facebook and you gave me a new website. So in their eyes, she's doing so much more. But for her, she just wanted to focus on the website. She wanted the website to be the biggest thing with this client. And I said, you can't do that to people. Because if they don't care about the website, they're not going to hire you. And it's just an add-on for them. And it's a great add-on. It's an amazing thing for a client to say, you did everything I asked you to do, and you also gave me an amazing website. Thank you. And that is what people really have to focus on, is what do your clients want? If they don't want the website, or if they don't think they need it, you're never going to be able to sell them on the website. It will always be something that's nice to have and will never be the thing that's driving them to pay you.
Okay, so Clash of Arrows is trying to pick on me here. I saw before he left. You're killing me here, man. I saw before he left, he gave you guys all these props, and just you guys leave me hanging. So if anyone wants to give me props, please give me props. I'm so sad right now. It's just I feel like it's sympathy props. You know what's funny, Trent, is one of the things I learned years ago was with any of my proposals that I do is rather than just simply saying, okay, here's how we're going to solve the problem and here's the offer. Now, most of my proposals include options. So option 1, here's what we're going to do based on what we talked about. Here's what you can do. The option 2 is that plus this, and it's a different relationship there and it's a different need. And then option 3 goes like this, so that your client starts to go, not should I work with you, but how should I work with you? And so they start to see, like in the proposal now, I type up, based on our conversation, we tell the story that, this is what's been going on. Here's the situation. Here's the problem you're telling me. And here's what we've identified. And this is what the future looks like. And so here's some ideas of how that's going to work. Ideally, this is what we should do. So when people ask me to do a workshop, like I said, I really try and get them into at least a 3-month program because I know that's more impactful. But I don't want to say your idea of doing a workshop is wrong. I'm saying, yes, we can do that. And we can do this and this. And then you start to go, okay, the thing that they asked for, I get this percentage of people saying yes. But then the people that upgrade, I get this percentage. And then, the ones that even the uncomfortable pricing for you to say, if they do this, that'd be awesome. Even if you get 5% of people saying yes to that, it's huge. And so just giving your customers, being able to help them see the landscape that you work in is huge for being able to generate more, non-competitive deals and average dollars per customer.
Yeah. And you have to think too that a lot of the people that you're meeting or that have looked into these services online and are kind of comparing you, have done some online research, they're going only by what they've seen and not necessarily gotten any feedback from anybody about where their business is at anyways. So everything is really objective and superficial. And then when you start to dig in and start to find the deeper problem, they don't know that yet because they haven't actually explored that yet. They've really just seen what's in their head and found some kind of information online to try and back up what they need and what they are expecting you to say.
Yeah. Who's a perfect example is, and he won't jump on here. He's probably at the beach or something. Mike Bunker. He's a wonderful, I've been working with him on SEO. He's out of Montreal. And he, when we first met I didn't know much. I knew enough about my website to get things going, but I knew like this little bit about SEO. I just thought it was something else. But after talking with him as his expertise, it was like, he did this whole analysis, I'm like, holy cow, that, I didn't even know what I didn't know. And so, his whole brand is around high, premium offer for SEO. But, he's competing against these people that are like, we can do it for like $100. We can do it for $500. But is that the same? You can't compare. But if your customer doesn't know or they're not asking the right questions, then they're going to go with what they think they know. And so that's really through that sales, especially for what you guys do on the marketing side, is that conversation has to get legs. Otherwise, you're competing on price. And if customers are coming to you already with the idea in their mind what they want, then you're kind of fighting this game, this battle you don't want to lose. So it's all about educating and informing and creating that aha moment, right?
Yeah, for me, the customer is always right. Until they're not. Until they're not, they're always right.
Yeah, and like what you said about the SEO stuff too. I mean, you're a guy who's been doing, you've been online for years. And then for you to say, well, I thought SEO was something different, or I thought XYZ was different. You have to think that the majority of your clients are probably thinking the same thing. Do people actually understand what social media marketing is? do they actually understand the ins and outs of what a digital strategy is, or what kind of value you bring to the table? Or have they just been following like a HubSpot blog and just listening to what they've said without actually looking at what their real goals are and what their real intentions are?
Mm-hmm. It's huge. I know it was funny. I did a sales workshop last week for a new client, and I always love when I do my sales training. And there's always that one or two guys or girls that are like, 15 years, been doing it a long time. And I can see in their eyes, they're like, oh God, who's this douche going to tell us about sales? Because I've sat through sales training myself, and it's like pulling teeth. But the whole goal there is to make an impact for somebody, is to not say the same thing and educate and be able to resonate with somebody. And that's really what, if you're running a business, any business that you have, is what's the big idea? What's the thing, that insight, that aha moment that you're creating for your customers? And Nicole, you and I are talking about this, is give value right from the get-go. Give your best stuff first. Give it away for free. So people go, wow, if that's what I get for free, how does this all work? How do I move these levers with you? And that's really what's important in whatever you're doing, rather than being like, I'm not going to tell you anything until you give me $10, $100, $50, right? So.
Yeah, and then at that point, are you really a credible source when you have to get that money, or all you're thinking about is the money for any kind of feedback or any kind of anything, right? Yeah. It does not relay the right kind of message you want with your clients. And immediately the red flags are going to go up and you're not going to get anywhere. And then, of course, you have your reputation, because how many people are they going to say, oh, I've met this kind of flaky chick, and,
Yeah.
I actually had a consultation with a personal trainer probably about 3 weeks ago. And I ranted to my email list because basically he told me, he said, here's what this consultation is for. This consultation is for you to learn about what personal training can do for you. And he said, so you can't ask me advanced questions.
He said, you can't?
Yeah, cannot. I said, because he first off, he came in and he was like pissed off. He's like, I'm running low on time, so this is going to have to be like 15 minutes.
You're an inconvenience. Said, well,
yeah. And it's usually an hour. And I said, well, I can save you 10 minutes. Just tell me, I said, if I want to work out my legs, what stretches would I do on an average leg day? And instead of like giving me like basic fitness advice, he was just like, you can't ask advanced questions. That's something that you can't do. He's like, here's what you're saying. And you know what he did? He said, so let me run you through a test workout. And I said, we haven't gone over my body goals. Like, how do you know that I want to use these machines? And he's like, this is just you testing it out. Like, testing what out? He's like, me. It was the weirdest.
Where'd you meet this guy? Like on the street?
No, he works in the gym down the street from me.
Do they know that he works there?
Oh my God. See, it's terrible for his reputation to have come off that way, right? To be that bossy.
That's brutal.
I always tell freelancers, consultants, whoever, give away your ideas for free. So if someone asks you a question, answer the question. Like it's not going to hurt to educate people. Because that's not really why they're paying you anyway. Like, at least I know not for me. Like, people don't pay me to tell them how social media marketing or how email marketing works. They tell me to actually create a strategy so their team can implement that strategy. And so hopefully they can make more money.
Well, you know what's funny is the whole purpose, the reason that, like I said, this is the first Whiskey Friday that I'm doing. And the whole purpose of this is that there's people out there that have questions, that they need help, and they're looking for ideas or answers, or like one thing, if they could just move it. That's the purpose of it. I'm like, whatever idea, whatever high level thing you want to ask, that's what I'm looking for too, is going out there. And all of a sudden, if you can help somebody go, wow, that was really cool, then they decide, can I figure this out myself? Or would it be more impactful to work with somebody? I mean, so for me, I had a call the other day, and when I do sales calls, it's like, what do you want to talk about? Let's share some ideas. What's your challenge? Here's what we do. The next call, I can probably do a free session with you and your team and solve their most pressing issues. And if that helps them get, a couple more sales, then we build a program. If it doesn't help them get sales, then I'm garbage, right? So, I mean, that's my whole business model. If I can help you do something for free, then you say, how can we now do a paid model so we can accelerate this, or we can just maybe do a trickle and subscribe to the blog and read something once in a while, or just go after this thing together and both be invested in results. And that's really the whole purpose of this stuff, is to share ideas and help people solve a problem that they have right now.
Yeah, and everything you just said, it comes right back to the whole scarcity issue, which is, I think, way bigger than anybody realizes, because you're thinking, well, there's nobody else out there. I don't know who I'm going to sell to. Where am I going to get my next lead? And people get all really weird about it.
Totally. And the other thing,
tell people door-to-door sales.
About what?
Door-to-door sales.
Go do it.
Yeah. Oh God.
I would just, as you said that, I was like, you know what would be fun is I would love to just go around my neighborhood and just see if I can help people solve problems.
I bet you I can. A video camera.
Yeah, that'd be oh man, wouldn't that be a great series?
Yeah.
Just me going and just like, how can I help you? What do you got going on? And just help them. Maybe a problem they have at work, or just like coach them on something. That'd be super cool. You were saying, the other thing that I was thinking about is also this whole idea of competition, right? Is in our marketplace, you guys have competitors. You have people that, like I know I used to go out and they're like, oh yeah, we were already talking to this guy. And I go, I'm all upset because they're talking to a competitor. But then I thought, well, why don't I talk to everybody that I compete with, and let's compare notes. Let's see what's going on. Let's build a better brand as an industry. And every client is going to need something different. And so I have people that I compete with kind of in different areas of my business, and I'm happy to recommend them to a project that I think is more suited to them. And then we don't have this this monkey on our shoulder going, oh, you better be careful about what you say. It's like everybody's doing good work, and there's no shortage of customers out there, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's true. And, that's really big out here. I realize too, is like the whole collaboration aspect is, it really puts you in that whole awareness of what you're able to provide, how you're able to work with other people. I mean, I've been working with people out here who offer a lot of the same services that I do, but, we specialize in a little bit of a different area, and together we've made much bigger impact than we would have competing. And we're not competing because we know there's the work. We know, we understand the value that we're able to offer as a partnership to certain clients, rather than just going ahead and trying to do things that, might not give as much value to your clients in the end as you could have as a collaborator.
Totally. We've got, I know in our community, I've got a number of clients that are all kind of servicing the same market. And, one does furniture sales and does like office equipment. Another one does like printers and all of that side of it. And then another one works for like the telecom company as a business rep. And so we said, well, why don't we get together, and rather than operating in these little silos, figure out this network of projects and how everybody's interconnected and create offers. And Nicole and I have done this before, as we say, hey, let's offer something to the community. We can still maintain our own brands, but go out and collaboratively solve problems for customers, instead of everybody lining up to go and sell to them individually, then trying to get the customer to figure it all out. Figure it out for them and say, here's a master offer that's going to solve this, business efficiency challenge you have. So if whatever you're selling or whatever your business is, figure out who else in your community you can collaborate with, you can solve problems together with.
Yeah, definitely.
The end.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, so thanks for that. So I want to try. So it's just us talking. Whoever else is on this thing, just send. Other than Joe looks like Chris Pratt. Send. That's hilarious. Jason, there. If you want to join the call, there's a seat open, or put some comments or questions on the side. If you do, like I said, /Q. I think it looks like this. Then it shows up like that. It says question. Then we can answer question. And then there's like mentions. You can do all sorts of stuff on there. And then of course, we're tied for props. And if you want, give me more props, and then I can beat these ladies at being the coolest, right? Yeah, I'm in the lead. So anybody have a question that we can answer on sort of scarcity, ownership, sales, just getting more clients and having some fun, just going and getting money? Any questions? Throw them out there.
I have a question for you, Trent, I guess, so you do a lot of the digital strategy. How do you do a lot of the networking to get your name out there, or are you mostly based online and then that's proof of your credibility for what you can offer?
I'm mostly based online. I recently started reaching out because I just moved to California.
Oh,
So
okay.
kind of everyone I knew is back in Michigan. Um, so I just moved here and I just started kind of reaching out to the local business owners. But yeah, my entire practice has started online.
Hmm.
And and I always tell people like I like operate in the shadows. Like
Batman.
I think that's really nice. Like when I started, I didn't even have a website. I
Yeah.
just said I've worked for these companies and I linked them, here's their website, here's their, social media profiles, etc. I've worked for these companies. This is what I've done for them. I would love to work with you, just talk to you about how I can possibly do the same thing that I did with those businesses with your business. Um,
Right.
and people respond really well to that. It's really down to earth. It's no bullshit. It cuts right through it. Just tell me who you've worked with, what kind of businesses you have experience with, and and tell me when we can meet. And that is the basics of my entire marketing and sales tactics.
Nice.
I'm just recently um, getting into social for my own business. For a while, again, like operating in the shadows. I didn't even have like I think I had a Twitter profile for like 2 days. The first client I landed, I had a Twitter profile for like 2 days, and I'm like, I don't know what to do here. And yeah, I don't know what I should do here because again, like if you don't have a website and you just offer the service, you're just kind of like clueless. Like, okay, well, so I started tweeting, and my first client actually I found on Twitter, and
Cool.
it was like 3 or 4 days in, and we were tweeting back and forth. Eventually, we got in indirect messages, and I asked them for their email address. They gave it to me, and yeah, I sent them a very straightforward email. This is, these are my thoughts about your business. Here's what I think that you're probably worried about, and yeah, let's have a chat. And that's for a very long time is how I marketed my business.
Cool. I'm gonna put a question out there to you guys. Is if anybody wants to answer that, what ways do any of you guys get clients? You know what's funny is I was watching a video, Gary Vaynerchuk, and it was just yesterday, I think, on Facebook, and he was talking about the concept of overnight success and this whole idea of, like people say when he'd like turned 30 or something like that he was an overnight success, and he was getting really angry in the video because he's like, man, so you discount the 15 years from when I was 15 to 30 and all of the work that I put in, all of the stuff that I did year after year, day after day to like crank this out so that when I hit 30, all of a sudden everybody heard about me. They go, oh, he's an overnight success. And so, like, what are you doing? And so he would get people that email him. And I really love what he said is people would email him and say, Gary, I've been doing my blog for the last 9 months and it's just really not getting me a lot of business or traction. And should I give up? And so he's like, this drives me crazy because he's like, you don't ever give up. Right, whatever you're doing, you just keep going until you're 80. At some point, it's going to work. But as soon as you stop, it doesn't work. And it's just like I was saying to Nicole yesterday, there's all these things that I know for me, like you were saying about Twitter, is you just got to get going on something. So for me, like I wanted to do Whiskey Friday like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And now we've done one. And I'm hoping to do a bunch of these. And who knows what's going to happen? We've got all these wonderful people that are like visiting. And now we've met you. And who knows what happens? But as something grows and gets legs, it takes off. And so all these things like, I wanted to do years ago, the podcast and the blog, and you look at other people who are more advanced than you and they've got something that just kicks ass and you're like, oh, I wish I could do that. So we hold off to doing anything because it's not perfect. It's that, day after day and just working. And so now I'm getting people that are messaging me because of a video I shot and put on YouTube that was crappy from like 2 years ago. They're like, hey, I really like that thing you said. And I'm like, I was saying stupid things, but they liked it. But somehow they found it and they're like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. But if you never did it, it never happens 3 years later, 4 years later. I used to say in my sales process, because I'm really lazy, if you do all this work, eventually just people come to you and say, can I give you money? So that's that laziness that then pays off, right?
But
so
something,
it's the work, yeah.
Joe, that I've recognized about those people that look at people like Gary and say, you're an overnight success. How do I do that? They really want fame because the first consulting client Because like before I was a freelance consultant, I was kind of working as an independent contractor for a specific company. So I wasn't necessarily a freelancer. I was just not an employee. So the first client I ever got as a freelancer, as a person doing my own thing, it was a success overnight. I did a lot of planning beforehand, but the first client I pitched, I got. The second client I pitched, I got. The fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. I think it was like I got to 10 people and one person said no. The next person said no. Yeah. And I considered that an overnight success, but there was no, I wasn't getting offers to speak. Nobody, and I just had money. And I think a lot of people want fame and not the money. And I think it's really important to figure out what you want. Because like I'm an introvert. So I'm totally okay with just the money.
But you started like 3 minutes in, you jumped in, you're like, I'm in. Introverts in.
Yeah, totally. Totally. If I never get on Oprah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Beautiful.
I just want the money.
But probably part of some of that too was you had that mindset of you were there to go and provide a service and you weren't scared and you weren't thinking, or were you thinking like, I need this next buck? Probably not, right? And then you came off really authentic and really genuine as somebody who wanted to help rather than a salesman. Is that right?
Definitely. I used to like, I think with my first client, I was on the verge of tears in our first consultation. They didn't see it though, because we were like on Skype voice, so they couldn't see it.
Like
but out? But when they were telling me the story behind their brand, I was like, I have to work with these people. Yeah. And what I found out after they hired me, they were like, we're so happy you took us on, because we were like, we have to work with this person. And it was so perfect. Oh, it was so amazing. So yeah, I wasn't thinking about like, how do I squeeze every nickel out of these people? It was
my question for you. Yeah, my question for you is, you're saying like maybe that was a bit of an overnight success that way, but how long had you been doing the stuff that you're doing, like say as a job or in school? Like what's your background before doing that?
My background was actually in social marketing for events. So maybe conventions, workshops, fashion shows, etc. Anything that's a live event is where I started. And from there I went, I'm really interested in the strategy and I want to work less in the field. I don't actually want to be directing a bunch of people because it was not only promotion, it was also planning to some extent. So I would have to be there as well on the day of the event, handling things. And I was like, I don't want to do this.
And how long did you do that for?
Not long.
You're like, I don't like this. I'm out.
Well, no, I really enjoyed it, but I got to a point where I was bored. I'm the type of person, I move from thing to thing to thing. And as long as I never want to not be passionate about what I'm doing. If I feel like I'm not giving any value, I don't want to do it. I just don't. There's no point in me working with people if I'm not putting my all into it. They're paying me full price, but they're not getting the full extent of my work ethic. And that's not fair. So that's why I kind of went from planning to promotion to digital strategy consulting, because I went, okay, I do strategy very well and I'm passionate about it. I don't want to do event planning. I don't want anyone to call me an event planner anymore. So I just kind of moved on from there. And even now, I've been calling myself a strategist and a consultant for so many years. And now I'm moving out of digital strategy and moving more into helping businesses build a culture and an environment within their internal environment.
For sure.
In order to help their external brand kind of be more authentic and be more true to what the values of the business and the company are and the culture within that company.
Absolutely. I know authenticity, man, that's the key, and it's just, I think people I remember years ago, I used to do things and my girlfriend would be like, you're using your work voice. Or I do a video and she's like, you sound like a marketing douchebag. Like you just sound like everybody else. And so the whole, like I said earlier, it's that gap between how you normally are. Like if I'm just that's why I like this idea. If I'm just having a whiskey with you, this is how I want to talk. And in my business, that's how I want to talk. As long as I'm not like unprofessional, I want to be normal. And you're talking about like the fame aspect. Is I remember, you know, a number of years, last couple of years, I worked with a spiritual coach on business and just getting out of my own head and being more vulnerable and sort of checking the ego and just being like, why am I so crazy and insane with all of this stuff that's just like eating me up? And so we spent all this time working on it. And this sort of light bulb came on one time as I thought, because my girlfriend was going through and doing all this, like these plays on mythology and the Greek history. Yeah, Jump Around, House of Pain. But she was doing all this stuff on mythology. And then it hit me like, you know, all of these, you know, these figures in history that have gone before us, there's only like in percentage wise, statistically, there's only this small percentage that are ever remembered and not even remembered correctly. And then I thought, so even now, like the people that are famous today, all these people that want fame and they want this overnight and they want to be able to hit it big in to the end of the time, they're not going to be remembered for anything. Statistically, it's, you know, Oprah possibly isn't going to be remembered forever. You know, Nelson Mandela, there's going to be other figures in history. There's going to be this small percentage. So that was kind of this overwhelming feeling I got. Then all of a sudden the other part hit me, which was like, well, if it's statistically, it's not going to happen, then why do I care so much? Why do I worry so much about people and how they feel? So why can't I just be normal and impact what I can impact every day and work with people and do meaningful work with my family and my friends and my clients and have fun? And when it stops being fun, do something else. Switch clients, you know, say, sorry, it doesn't work for me anymore. But people are so wrapped up in this scarcity of like, oh, now I got to play the role. Like, have fun with this stuff, man. And jump around. House of Pain.
Well, when in doubt, get new clients.
Yeah. I love it. I don't know how to tweet. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put that as your quote. When in doubt, get new clients.
Is that how you tell a little bird?
When in doubt. I'm going to type it. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Ooh.
So Nicole, how do you get new clients?
Well, yeah, it's kind of, I would say it's a little different out here because it's a lot of who you know. And of course, I've only been here a couple of years, so I really first had to get my boots on the ground and get out and meet people, because there was, like, as Mike said, you know, there's a big trust thing. People don't want to be sold to, and there's a lot of people who have been sold to and who feel like they've been burned. Mm-hmm. So actually getting out and meeting people and just being myself, letting them know who I am, you know, is really how I started getting my first clients. And then from there, my presence on LinkedIn, and then not really mostly LinkedIn, I would say, is where I get a lot of leads from. And, you know, I do business here as well as in Calgary, and I feel like it's a lot easier in Calgary because that's where my reputation is. But a lot of online there and a lot more feet on the ground here and just meeting people, which is, you know, which I love because I like talking. I like meeting people. I like the whole fun aspect of actually being able to talk to people about who I am, find out who they are. I love the whole idea of storytelling and learning about people. And I, you know, come from the customer service background, you know, in the best part, I guess the only good part about working in the bar was, you know, all the stories you hear, you know, people from the airport coming in and learning about the cool things that they've encountered and the cool stuff that they've done. Like, whether or not we do business together, I absolutely love hearing about the experiences people have and where they've been and their whole path on life. So that to me is really, really, an attractive part of going out and meeting people, which has ultimately brought me a lot of business.
That's awesome.
But yeah, but I think it differs, like, depending on where you are, depending on the kind of culture of the city you live in or the town you live in, like it's different. Like I say, Calgary was, you know, is a lot more online. I didn't feel like I had to network as much out there. The relationships I built online were a lot more effective, but you know, that might not be like that everywhere. Even just in Alberta, going up to Edmonton, that was a huge difference. Or even Red Deer. I mean, that's like an hour and a half away, and the whole culture of the city, the whole business culture is very different. And actually understanding how the different areas across the world work as far as business goes can really have an impact on who you meet and what kind of business or what kind of clients you're able to attain to, because you have a good idea of how they work. what kind of timelines you can expect. Business is a lot slower out here. We're on island time. So expect a proposal tomorrow. You expect this. You know, it's different when you start pushing in an area where they're not expecting you to go that quickly. It can really overwhelm some people and turn them off of that relationship too. Yep. So it's really about reading the people, reading the environment they're in, and especially reading their business. So
totally.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Mike said that he often gets compared with services in India because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
And right. I think that happens a lot with everyone, really. But I think what matters most is the right clients would never do that.
Yeah.
None of my clients would ever be like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fire Trent and hire this firm in India for $2 a day, 69 cents an hour. That's never happened.
Yeah. Totally. Well, the communication, the time difference, the quality of work, like there's a lot of things.
You really have to understand who you're getting in bed with.
Excuse me. Sorry.
You know, and you're right. The one thing that I always think about is this price confidence. Is you have to be confident in what you're offering. And I know Mike and I have talked about this before. Is that I locally here in Victoria, Nicole's talking about the island mentality. Is most of my business is not really where I live. Most of it is online and international. And I had somebody that found me through a video that I had done, and they were like, "We really like that video you did on spin selling, and we would love to work with somebody like you." And they were like, "Holy cow, you're local!" And I'm like, "You're local." And so we were like, "Well, let's get together." And so when I talked about pricing, she was like, "Well, like you're 4 or 5 times more than anybody else locally here." And I said, "Well, are you still working with anybody?" And she said, "Well, not really." I said, "Well, that's the difference, right? Is that you have to figure out what's going to be meaningful for you." And she was saying, "Well, how much time, like FaceTime do we get with you?" And I told Nicole this before, is I was like, "It's not really FaceTime. It's more like pants time, because now like I'm wearing pants right now, just so you guys know. But like, I do a lot of my stuff online and through conferences and webinars. And so I just kind of sit in my shorts. We just say stuff and don't wear pants. And so that was kind of a joke that I made. But now people locally understand this whole concept I've created of the pants premium. That if they want to work, like it's like this thing that's taken off, and even my girlfriend is like, "Hey, let's hang out tonight. Do I have to pay the pants premium?" And it's like this whole mental shift. But that's what you're trying to create in your marketplace. Is don't be afraid to say this is worth something and stand by your price and be confident. There's no scarcity. But the problem that people have if you're just starting out is that you're trying to get whatever you can, and you can't really go back from that. So the best time to have this, like, I don't need the business mentality is when you start out. It's the hardest thing to do, but it's absolutely the best thing to come out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then you have to backpedal otherwise, and you develop the reputation of that's where you are. And then how do you fix that? It's so much harder to fix it rather than start there from the beginning. But self-awareness is one of the hardest things, especially when you're starting out. And that's exactly what you have to do, is have that awareness of who you are, what you're offering, and can you actually give value to the person you're talking to? But not only that, do you even want to work with them?
Oh, okay. We've got Simply Tina. So I'll tell you my business. She wants to know what business we're in. I do sales consulting and coaching. So I work with any businesses of all different sizes, helping them, improve their sales process, the mindset, psychology, just really helping people make more money, whatever their business is. And Nicole, tell her about what you do. We'll close off with this. How about that?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do online marketing, specifically social media and strategy. As well as some content development, because that seems to be where a lot of people struggle as far as I want to be, developing relationships with my clients, but I don't know how to say it or what to say.
Mm-hmm. And Trent?
Oh, and I am I'm essentially digital marketing consultant and strategist, and I also do transformational branding, which is basically taking the values of a company or a business and essentially making sure that people understand the values behind the business. And they're not just looking at the people that the business works with or their logo or their online presence and going, okay, this is what you do. It's more like, this is what you do, and this is what you believe in, and this is why I'm going to hire you and to buy your stuff versus the other guy.
Yeah.
Because the other guy doesn't care about the stuff I care about.
Yeah. Very cool.
The consumers and the customers and the prospective clients understand that you're going to go with this company because you have similar values, not because it's the lowest price, not because they're closer to you, or maybe they have a location in your city, but because there's a real human connection that's going on.
For sure. I'm gonna, Simply Tina. I see my I like Simply Tina. That's a cool name. DJ Spin Cycle, the #1 DJ in the world, wants to join. Behave and have fun. Here we go. And I'm going to just throw this out to him. Hey, how's it going?
Definite about, oftentimes, guys, hearts may not only show up the right way for you. The things that we can definitely track are the comments and the length of time someone's at a broadcast. And a replay. So because those are definitive aspects that we can really gauge, that's why we've given weight to them. However, that being said, we still want to give weight to. Oh, hold on, sorry.
I'm like looking for my phone, and it's how many people do this? You're looking for your phone.
I'm gonna block him. I think he's on a different call. There we go. I don't know what just happened. That was weird. I was like, am I losing my mind here? But he seemed authentic.
Hey, Simply Tina, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I was gonna come in, join the call. Let's throw on some pants and let's rock and roll. But I will say, don't be nervous. It's just people blabbing, man. Like, here we go. But the thing I would say to anybody, like you were saying, I don't have any clarity yet. The number one thing you got to do is say, what's that one problem I can solve for somebody? Like the thing that I know pretty well. And what's the problem? And, how can I actually help somebody solve that problem? And then go and ask some people, hey, do you want some help solving this problem? And if you ask them enough people.
And figure out the one thing that you do well. Because I think a lot of, especially creative people, they go, okay, I do these things well, but I like doing these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they can't force the two. I always tell people, figure out what you do incredibly well. Mm-hmm. You do better than 99% of the population.
Yeah.
Find that thing and work on it.
Yeah.
Hone your craft. And just do it every single day. Yeah. And you may not like it every single day, but do it every single day. And eventually you'll find some way to use that in a way where you're able to express your creativity and do what you love.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how it was with me. Like again, I would market these events, but I would also plan them as well. So I would be there. I'd be the person with the headset on, yelling at people. While simultaneously checking the Twitter wall. And I didn't want to do that forever, but I did know that strategy was my thing.
Hey, Tina, what's up?
How you doing?
Let's get some clarity.
Yo, I've been stuck for a long time.
I love this.
Finished school really, really, really early at 16. I'm in Florida, by the way.
I love that you were on a tour with you. Where are we going?
Well, I have kids, and whenever you're on the phone, nobody wants anything till you're on the phone. Yeah. So I had to literally walk outside.
Oh, this is awesome.
But right now I'm working at Sam's Club. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. Yep. Wholesale.
Mm-hmm. I love Sam's Club.
And it really bothers me because I know the potential that I have, but I just don't know what to focus my energy into. But I always have people that come back and they're like, oh my God, you're so pleasant. I was having a terrible day and you just changed the way I looked at it. And, okay, hold on. I'm on an important phone call. Give me 1 second, okay?
I love this.
1 second.
Blab is awesome.
Yeah. But, I'm sorry. It was a senior citizen, so I had to come and stop her because they'll keep going. But, yeah, I don't know what it is that I'm to do, but I feel that some of the greatest people of our time felt that they had something to give to the world. Like they just felt it within themselves. It's no way to explain it. You just know. But I don't know how to express it. So I don't know. That causes a lot of
what do you do well?
Talk.
You talk.
I'm being honest. Talk.
Yeah.
Like you can put me in front of anybody, Asian, black, white, it doesn't matter who, and I can find a connection within our disconnection.
Love it.
And it's a gift. It's just a gift that I have, but I don't know how to use it for my financial benefit. Like for instance, with sales at Sam's. I mean, this sounds really mean, but we have a quota that we're supposed to do. The general quota, you may have somebody that it's supposed to be 2. I'm just using this example. You may have somebody that can do 4, but I'm the one that can do 12, and they don't understand why. But it's just that the way that I connect with people, I deal with each individual person very different. Like you can't deal with everybody the same way. They want you to say this one thing, but I tell them, whatever you guys want me to say, it's not selling. So why would I continue to keep using the process? It's not working. So I'm sort of an empath. So I kind of go along with the energy that the person puts off.
Okay, so answer this. Do you want to do work that deals directly with the essence of a person, or do you want to do things that are a little more hard and not as soft?
Okay, slim it down for me. I'm not that person that's afraid to be like, look, I didn't get it. Can you just?
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Do you work so you can get results, or do you work to make people happy?
Right now, I work to make people happy because, to be honest with you, as far as my job goes, I'm definitely in a deficit. Like if it wasn't for the great support system I have as far as my family, I wouldn't even.
Oh no!
No, I was right in the middle of it. Tina, come back. I was loving it.
Is that awesome storyteller?
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to get her. I want to do a podcast with her. I don't care what she's selling. I'm in.
Yeah. This is her claim to fame.
Yeah, this is so cool, man. Like I was gonna stop this thing at 3:00 my time, but now Tina's just made me like I want to keep going. I got so much to do, but this is such a fun thing to do. Tina, come back. Tina, where are you? We heart Tina. I think that should be like a hashtag, right? Like the hashtag we heart Tina. Simply Tina, simply the best. I like that. But yeah, I like what you're saying, Trent, like about, like what are you trying to do? You're trying to create results. You're trying to create happiness. Like, what is it that you're making an impact? I think sometimes people say, well, how do I charge money for that? And I hope Tina comes back. But the biggest thing I would say, years ago, I remember talking to somebody and they said, I'm really good at helping people. And I said, well, why don't you just create like a blog or do something where you give free advice and attract people to you that want that advice. You're helping solve that problem. And eventually that's how you monetize. But I think sometimes you think from monetization first, it sort of clouds your goals and your judgments. And so, I mean, for Tina, the first thing I would say is that, she sounds like she'd be awesome doing whatever she would do. So maybe talk to, either local business or somebody and get some space and do like a workshop, right? Just like say, hey, we're going to do a happiness workshop for free or for $10 or $20. And, I want to invite 10 people, bring your friends in and just like test it out on people and see how it goes. But I mean, right, just listening to her for the last 3 minutes, I'm like, I would go to Tina's workshop. Right. And I would promote it. Like if she gets people rallied around her cause and how many people are in the similar situation that she's in, that would be like, wow, Tina, she just said, I'm selling 12 versus 4-3. She could promote the hell out of that to retailers and other businesses. She just needs to get in this space of how can I help other people, be happy and do some cool shit. Right.
And I think also it's a confidence thing and knowing what matters to you. Because for me, I'm a numbers person. I'm a money person. If I don't make you more money, I'm not happy. But a lot of people are not like that. They're like, I just want you to be happy. Yeah. Whoever I work with. And it can be working with, their financials, but it's surrounded by being happy. Whereas with a person like me, I care less about happiness of myself. I care. I work with people that value money, and for them, whether it be in their personal lives or their business, they're happy when they don't have to worry about revenue streams and how they're going to get profitable, stay profitable, and just not having to worry about those things. Those things make them happy. Yeah. Whereas other people who, maybe they're a little more creative or, maybe they're, life coaches or whatever, for them, it's less about money. It's more about being happy and kind of in tune with their needs. their personal needs and not their business needs.
Totally. You know, it's funny. Like I have people that come to me sometimes. Mike Bunk, what's up? Come on in, brother. This is cool. But if Tina wants back in, you're done. Just so you know. Just so you know, if Tina says, "Hey, let me in." Bunker, what's up?
Hi.
Hey,
how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Hey, man.
What's going on?
How you doing?
Good. Sorry about that. I was actually in another call and I was kind of just double booking and so then I was listening to you and listening to the other people at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Oh my God."
You chose wisely.
Yeah. So then I was like kind of, typing every so often, but then I would kind of go back and forth. So yeah. So here I am.
And you fell in love with Tina too?
Oh yeah, she rocks.
Great.
Yeah, she totally
great.
rocks.
I'll go back to what you were saying, Trent. I was talking to somebody the other day, and sometimes people come to me and say, "Hey, do you want to come do like a motivational speaking thing, or do you want to can you come and talk to us about mindset?" And I'm like, "Not really. I'm not really. I don't really, like you said, I don't really care. I'm not here to motivate you. Like I always say, like I write down on the wall, GSD, get shit done. Like let's get something done." And let's get a result, and you're gonna be really happy. Then you're motivated because we got something done. But if you're got all these, like you're juggling these ping pong balls underwater, or herding cats, whatever you want to call it, and then you say, "Oh, and I also have to have a more positive attitude." Now you just added one more thing to worry about. So like, get some stuff done, get some results. It's way more motivating. So I'm with you 100% on that.
And I actually say it all the time now that we talked about it, however long ago it was really, it's not that hard to get through the day. I mean, when you're thinking we want to do motivational speaking or what are we trying to accomplish here? It's like, you just have to be so straightforward and honest, because really what, back in the day, all you had to worry about was making it through the day. Mm-hmm. You had diseases, you had dinosaurs or whatever there was. And now what do we have? We put all of these like fake, worries on ourselves, and we don't get stuff done because we're so worried about not accomplishing things, not making certain people happy or whatever it may be. And really, if we make it through the day, then we've really accomplished something.
Totally. Like just get up and don't die, man.
and you know what, just kind of going back, it's like, when we do have focus on what we're doing, like for in my world, like I'm doing a lot of SEO and social media marketing and digital strategies and all that jazz. And then people will come along and say, "Hey, can you build me a website?" And sometimes I'll say yes, depending on the scope of it. But other times I know that I can help you with what you need, but it's better for you to go and get that other dude to build it because they specialize in that, or the site is way, way too big. And then I'm not going to enjoy doing what I'm doing, because that's the whole thing, is you want to enjoy what you're doing. And then when you do that, then that can become contagious. And then that's how people feed off of that. And then you get, better rapport with people because you're happy and they're happy.
Yeah, definitely.
No. Very cool. And Mike, you're looking super lean, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
You're looking jacked.
That's the angle. Good camera angles.
It's all mess down here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's all good down there too. It's all good, but
keep it PC, buddy.
Oh yeah.
So how about Mike? Just tell us sort of what your business is and the kinds of companies you work with. What sort of how you've sort of built this, getting rid of the scarcity mindset. I mean, you were telling me last time about, some of your clients, and you're getting into high level discussions and you're creating that ownership mentality. Maybe talk about what you've been doing, sort of that evolution for yourself.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm helping companies realize their true online potential. And by doing that, what I'm doing is I'm helping them with digital marketing strategies and search engine optimization and AdWords, things like that. And so it's some people, they get a website and they invest in a website and they don't really know what to do with it once they've got it. And so I'm kind of helping them to show them how you can get people more involved in your services, get people more involved in, and even the staff or the owners of the business more involved. I think, like, for me, it's and we've all kind of had these discussions where we pick the right you want to have the right clients that are a match with you. So I find like when I have people that are coming to me and they're coming to me on price and they're treating me as a commodity, I usually don't have a long-term relationship with them because they just want me to come in, do that service, make a AdWords campaign for them or something, and then they're gone. And what I try to do is I try to develop that relationship with them that I have I'm their go-to guy for everything. So they're gonna they basically turned over their keys to me, to their search engine or to their website, and anything that happens on their site, they talk to me first. Sometimes they don't. I'm not the one who implements. Maybe somebody else will implement, but I've approved of that decision. So if, for example, if someone said, "Hey, I want you to go and I want to get more," I'll say, "We need to do more inbound link development," and I'll say, "I can do that for you." Or you can get this other company to do it, but don't go here because you're up for trouble. So it's stuff like that. That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
And that's really creating like a invaluable relationship with people. I mean, that they're putting so much trust into you and that you're, able to guide them when they don't really know what they need or where they're going, or, with all the phone calls that they're getting of, I can for $100 give you SEO and you'll be on the first page of Google. I promise. Is your guy doing that? That's a lot that happens to everybody. And for them to say, no way, I got this guy, he's got my back. That's a really great relationship to have.
Yeah, Joe, thanks. Joe, that was something that we talked about before. It's like, would you let like your 12-year-old cousin or something fix your BMW, or would you take it to a mechanic and that's certified and knows what they're doing? Yeah. And so that's a big thing is just getting knowing what, like, being able to communicate what services you can offer and the quality of the work, and then that way, you know that you're not comparing. They can't compare apples to apples if they're not the same. So and often that happens in my world. So that's why developing really good relationships with these clients and specializing in certain areas as well. Like I do a lot of real estate search engine optimization and marketing. And so I'm in that world. I know it inside out, and I know that world, or apartment rentals and stuff like that. And I never compete like in the same city. So you're not going to get a realtor going against a realtor in the same city, but I get referrals through those people. I have a client from Oakville that's in Victoria this weekend, and she's at a REMAX conference, and I know that she will talk me up, and someone's going to call me on Monday.
And you're hooking me up with her, right? Yeah.
Well, actually, I will try to. Yeah, I'll see what her schedule's like, and I'll see. You guys should talk. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a question at you guys. And then, hold on, this is Roxy, by the way. Can I get props for Roxy at least?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, what about
the cheapest way to get props, right?
Hey, what do I?
So here's, I'm going to throw a question at you guys, and then Bunker, I'm going to kick you off because Tina's back in a minute. Not yet. But so Tina, don't go away. But the question I want to ask you guys is, do you know the moment? Because I know for me that the moment in your business where you went, oh shit, now my business is a real business. That moment where you're like, this is a real thing. Because do you guys know what I'm talking about? That moment where you're like, this is not, because when you start, you're like, I hope this works. And then, so anybody that's kind of starting their business is kind of like, just like getting going. And they're like, oh man, I hope I don't, remember Nicole, you and I talked like a year ago. You're like, I hope I don't have to, like, should I go and get a job? Because that's the feeling when you start your business, like, oh shit, do I need to go and get a job? And I'm getting somebody's waving. Oh, hold on.
Oh,
sorry. but the whole thing is like, should I go get a job? Or, like, when is that moment where you're like, okay, this is real. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it moving. So I'll start with Nicole. Let's go Nicole, then Trent, then Mike. Just maybe answer that question and I'll finish up, and then I'll kick Mike out for Tina to join us.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can, I'll take a step back because I'm going to have to head to a meeting pretty quick here. And Tina, you can totally take my spot. But I guess when did I know that I had a real business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I still do. No, I'm just kidding. It really was as soon as probably within the first 3 months after we first started talking, when I actually felt inside of me that I could do this. And originally that's what I thought when I moved here was, I'm not going to go get a job with somebody doing this because I can make more money doing this on my own.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I needed to be able to go back to Calgary often to visit my family. I wanted to be able to support my clients there still. And how else am I going to do that? Who's going to give me that opportunity? I needed to have control. And then after I started developing those relationships, I started getting those sales. It was inside of me of, you've got this.
Totally.
Yeah, and I can't say anything other than that. It's that gut feeling. It's what we have, what everybody has, and that we have to listen to a lot more instead of having that doubt and all the anything that's happened in the past come and overwhelm us and bring us down and make us feel like we can't get there. As soon as we get that out of our minds, I really think we can achieve anything that we put some effort into. And it's not easy.
It's brutal. It sucks. But what's the alternative, right? I remember we always ask that question. It's like, oh, this business is hard. It's supposed to be hard. But go get a job. If it's too hard, go get a job. But
hey, I'm winning this. Sorry, right? Guys. I'm winning this thing. I've got 120, eh?
How do you get 120? Can I get some Roxy? How did you get? I got Roxy and you still crush me. Oh, I got you now. But the whole thing, like Nicole, you're saying is like, I love Tina. Simply Tina, you're the best.
3 hours. 2 hours.
Oh, it's 2 hours. So this, like when you're starting your business, and even as you've been going in your business for a while, you're always sort of running this gauntlet of like validation and rejection and validation and rejection. But all it is that you're just building like objectiveness into your business and learning as you go and building the systems and creating things that repeat so that eventually you just aren't homeless. And then once you get past the, like, this is actually a real thing, and then it's just about like building from there. So really to have a business, you need one customer that's paid you and one person that's been happy. That's a business. You just scale from there. Too many people are like, how do I replace my income? How do I make all this money? Screw that, man. Just get a couple people that are like, hey, what you did was cool. Here's some money. And you just build that. You build systems to repeat that and find higher value clients. And so people that are worried about how am I going to grow my business, that's how everybody starts, right? There's nobody that's just like, unless you hit it big, like that's how it is, right? You just take time. So I like that. We'll go to Trent and then to Mike, and then we'll let Tina back in. Yeah. Hang on, Tina.
I'm
kind of sad that I'm going to miss her.
First, I want to say that Joe's actually wearing pants. At first, I was, because he's been sipping on the whiskey. I was like, let's make sure he actually has pants on.
Yeah.
I think I first realized that what I had was an actual business and a real thing. When here's what it was. I remember I worked approximately 10 hours that month, and I made my rent within the first 3 days of that month. And at the end of the month, and I didn't realize it until the end of the month where I went, I literally only worked 10 hours.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to worry about rent for the next month. And I was like, I can work with this. Like, I can 100% like duplicate this process to where I'm working even less and making more money.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was when I realized that I could actually scale, and I could kind of do what a lot of freelancers try to do, which is to build a solid foundation with the new clients that I had.
Totally. And so then you just realized that you could just keep going. Is that what happened? And was there times where you started to feel, maybe it's not going, or was it just like once you hit that, it was smooth sailing forever?
No, it's never been smooth sailing. I still like walk around my studio, and I'm just like, I'm always trying to find new ways to make this giant space work. I thought about turning it into a co-working space. So I'm like, I have all of these ideas for all of this like room that I have. And I'm pretty sure you guys can hear that echo where there's a bunch of space in the background. I'm constantly cycling through ideas. So for me as a freelancer and as an entrepreneur, that's what I struggle with, is that there's always another idea that's better than the idea right now. And you have to figure out when to take that leap, knowing that there is no guarantee. You're not guaranteed a paycheck. You're not owed a paycheck. And that's where, you know, I think most people would rather get a job. If you're an entrepreneur, you can't do that. You can't rely on a steady paycheck. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's funny. I was like, as you were talking, I remember like this whole idea of even as you hit it, like you hit a really good like contract, or you do something really just kick ass. And then you're like, oh, now what? Right. There's always like, you never like, so the biggest thing is you got to like pause and celebrate the victories and celebrate those small wins. And like, just like, if I clean my desk, like I do this once a week where I just completely get everything off my desk. I'm like, it's a victory. Like, let's celebrate that stuff. Like that's all part of it. Right. And like, when you get that client, it's like, you work really hard to get that client and then it's done. And then there's that like emptiness. So just all you people like are thinking about doing a business is what you got to go through is this empty feeling of, oh, now what? And so it's constantly doing that, but just being able to remove the emotion from it. And like you're saying, like, you know, you've got all this stuff, but when you can step away from it and be okay with that kind of that loneliness and taking control of it and being like, you know, I can do this, then all of a sudden it becomes really fun. So that's cool.
I find too that when you have like this kind of happens over time, but when you do have like a little bit of a kitty set aside, like some money set aside,
kitty,
it takes, there you go, or in front of you. It does take away that stress of, you know, if you are starting out, that you can have a bit of you can relax a bit, right? And or then when your foundation for your building comes along and you got to redo the foundation, and that takes away your kitty.
I don't know about you guys, but I thrive on chaos.
On what?
Like on chaos.
Chaos, yeah.
On the unknown. When I don't know what to do, that's when I get really creative. And that's when I make the most money.
Yeah.
When I'm comfortable, I made good money. But my best months were when I literally thought, I don't have enough money for insert here.
Yeah.
And in one instance, it was like, shit, I bought a ticket to this event. I don't have enough money to get me to Thailand, or I don't have enough money to, you know, do this outrageous thing because I didn't plan. And then I was like, fuck, this is the month. Yeah. And then that's like the most money I've ever made a month. And then it cycles again, and it happens again, where it's like, okay, now, and the funny thing is that the amount of money that I need always goes up.
Yeah.
So like the first time it happened was like, shit, I need $500 for my rent. And then the next time it was like $2,000 for like a plane ticket. And then the next time it was like, okay, I need $5,000 for this awesome training. And then and it just keeps going up. And I think that's something to be celebrated.
Yeah.
When your business expenses keep rising and you keep being able to pay them, that's a good thing.
Totally.
It means you're taking care of business. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I was just thinking about the funny one. I remember like a couple of years back and I was starting to raise my fees, and I raised them to like $500 for an hour. And then I remember we went out, we partied one weekend, and it was like, we had a really nice night. It was like probably like $400 or $500 we spent. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't have spent all that money. I was like, oh, I got to do is just work for an hour and we're good. Right. And it's like, I was like, can I really do that? But I remember like way back in the day when I talked to my financial planner, and she was like, well, we got to create a budget. And I was like, I don't want to do a budget. I hate budgets. And she's like, I was like, if I want more money, I'll just go make more money. She's like, you can't really do that. I was like, well, maybe you can't. But like, if you put your mind around that, if you can create something, if you can solve problems, all you got to do is just go out and solve more of those problems and create revenue. And so, and that's what being a business owner is. And eventually then you stop doing that for like return for your work, and you start to build systems that do that with or without you, and you build teams and you build a machine that works whether you show up or not. And so that's part of that sort of evolution of building your business.
Budgets are for people with regular jobs.
With a consistent income. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen this month.
Definitely. Who wants that?
Yeah. So Mike, what about you? When so we I think, did you tell us when your business sort of pivoted and it was a real deal?
Well, like I always I had I've worked in the digital world for a long time, and then I've had full-time jobs, and then I would do like kind of contracts on the side. And then at one point, like a few years, like probably, I don't know, 8 years ago or more, I decided I wanted to screw off to Buenos Aires for like 7 months. And I at that point, I needed to make a decision if I was going to keep working for that company or go on my own. And that's when I said, yes, I'm going to go on my own and do my own thing. And then it's what, as you say, it's like whatever effort you put into it, I can work as much as I want. I can get as much, I can be steady, but that's kind of when I decided to do it. And I just jumped in with both feet and said, that's it. That's what I want to do, is I want to be self-employed. And at that point, I just jumped in. And what I find, when you start investing in your website and you're investing in some of your, your marketing, and then you really know that you're in it. And when if you build a brand new website and then you go, 2 years later or a year and a half later, you go, okay, that's it, done with that one, building a new one. Cause it's like, you've got to be up to date in
evolving,
because we have to have the most recent technology on our sites, because that's the industry we're in. And so that's when that when you're investing in your own stuff, that that you're seriously doing it.
Totally, man. It's funny as you say that. That's kind of, for me, that was the evolution too. Is years ago, just a year and a bit ago, is when I thought, oh, this is it. My business is awesome. I had this guy contact me from Boston, and I think I told you guys this story, but he was like, I thought it was like that email that you get from the Nigerian prince that wants a bunch of money from him. Like, this guy's not real. He was like the VP of this multinational $1 billion company. And they wanted me to come and do some sales training, some workshop. I'm like, but do you know, I'm just a guy, I'm just a regular dude. And he's like, no, I saw your videos. I know who you are. I'm like, are you sure? I was almost trying to unsell. I'm like, no, I'm just a regular guy, just saying shit. And he's like, no, I want. So they paid me to go out there, and I did this big thing, and I was like, I made it. And I thought, this is my business. But then I came back, and it was that feeling of, well, that was a one-off, right? That's not a business. That was a project. And so, and I think what Mike is saying, and that's kind of what the evolution was, is once I started to actually get money, rather than as an employee, when you're like, okay, how do I budget? How do I buy things that I want for my own personal pleasure? I started to see the money that I'm bringing in. How can I then turn that around into new things for my business, new plugins for my website? I hired a consultant, and I hired coaches, and I hired a spiritual coach. I hired a golf coach. I started hiring coaches for absolutely every area of my life. I'm like, because I don't know. Right. And then I started to see other expertise, and that starts to accelerate. And so I think for me, that was when I started putting the first time you put $1 back into your business. I think that's when it started to feel like a real thing. Right.
It's funny that you say that you hired all these people, because I was having a conversation with someone I was thinking about dating, but this was not a date. And we're talking about money. And he said, if you had an additional $100,000, and you can do anything you want with it, he's like, what would you do? And I said, you know what I would do? I would hire a babysitter. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I would hire a really fit person to wake me up at 7 a.m., make my meals, work out with me. And he would be everything. He would be every coach in one.
Totally.
He's buff. He's this, he's that. He's done awesome shit to deserve $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's what I would give it to.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he's like, I would not spend. He's like, I would buy a new car. I would do this. And I was like, we have nothing in common.
Totally.
Yeah,
man. Surround yourself with people that know cool shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's ask people, what are you spending your money on? People with jobs, real jobs.
Yeah.
And they're making $75,000 a year. And they're like, I need more money. And I'm going, what do you spend your money on? And they're like, oh, well, I have 2 cars. Yeah. And, I have an ex-wife.
Yeah. That's expensive.
That is not good.
So they're like, I have all of these things. And it's like, get rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
Why are you paying for this expensive, apartment in the hip part of town? Or why are you paying for, 2 cars when you don't need them?
Simplify.
Why are you paying for all of these things when you really don't need them? And those are the people that don't have budgets. They spend all of their money and they have nothing in savings. And they're just like, I need more money. It's like, well, make more money. And they're like, I can't because my boss.
Yeah, it's all the other factors. It's nothing to do with them. Yeah. So let's bring Tina back in. Are you jumping out?
I'll back out. I'm kind of I'm kind of disappointed because I want to hear the conversation with Tina.
I'm recording it, so I'll record it and you can
back.
check out the recording after. Yeah, I don't know how it works, but it's our first blab.
Yeah, it's my first blab.
Thank you for joining. You're awesome, man.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Don't leave.
Can we give everybody give Nicole props before she goes? Let's get her to 150.
Oh,
yeah, baby.
This was really fun, and I really hope.
Don't let her go past 182.
Nope, she's going. She's going.
All right,
I really hope that you invite me for another Whiskey
I'm flat at 156 right now.
All right.
I think you should definitely keep the Whiskey Fridays.
You guys like Whiskey Fridays? Give me
props.
Huh?
This has been great.
Awesome.
This has been, and now we know what it's about too.
Yeah.
So when we hear people doing it, or when we think we can recommend it,
then this would be just like what I was hoping is just have a place where people kind of hang out on a Friday and just talk. And next time you guys bring your own whiskeys, and maybe if we hang out long enough, it gets real interesting.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we need to talk more about your Joe G on tour.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hey, in Quebec, it's between 5 and 7. They call it 5 à 7, which means it's happy hour. So like for me, it's like it's happy hour too here.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's kind of what I want to do. Is I did it on Pacific time too. I'll probably do it at 1 o'clock Pacific, so it catches the 4 or 5, or even still 2 and 5, so that people are like, "Hey, cool! It's a nice time to hang out on a Friday and let's drink whiskey." Cool. So, anyways, bye, Nicole. Tina, join us. Much, Tina, get back in here.
I'll catch up with you.
Weekend.
Bye, darling. Tina. There, oh, she comes.
Oh, she's coming back. Look at her sitting right up there.
Tina!
Hey.
Everybody give Tina props. Let's get her.
Okay.
Oh, baby.
If I can remember where we left off, she was asking me, what is it that I wish to do more of? Mm-hmm. And you were going more into detail. Is she still in? Or
Trent's here.
Trent?
Mm-hmm. Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, you were breaking it down for me.
Oh, so you
break it down, Joe.
Okay, so you were saying about like what you would want to do, and if you want to, if you want to, is it more important to make money or do what you want to do, or
Tina,
something like that?
Come back,
she's
Tina.
gone again.
Battery's dead. What happened?
Come back.
No, Tina, no. I think she's tricking us. I think she's like been planted by Blab to just see if we can handle it.
Blabber. Actually, she's a blabber. She likes to talk, eh?
She's a Blab plant.
That's a blab.
So, all right. So we lost Nicole. Tina's tricked us. So,
she's a secret spy.
It says that she needs insight.
Yeah, she needs some insight. So we'll wait for her to come back. I'm gonna probably give it another 5 minutes because I gotta jump. I gotta finish a blog post that I was trying.
I gotta jump too because I've got dinner coming up soon here.
Yeah, I was only gonna do it for an hour. We went like an hour and a half, so that's good.
Yeah,
and I'll just keep drinking the whiskey. It's a wonderful day.
By the time you're done, you're gonna be happy hour is gonna be started for you.
Oh man, we have a big charity event tonight. Big fundraiser gala event, bow tie, all that good stuff. You know,
cool.
All that good stuff. Trent, what's upcoming for you for some projects, some cool stuff that you're working on that we should know about?
I am thinking about actually opening a tiny co-working space.
Oh, cool. Where?
My studio is about
cool.
1,500 square feet, most of which goes completely unused. But I'm thinking about throwing a few events. Mm-hmm. And seeing how that kind of works out.
Cool.
Because it's lonely. It's so lonely. Like
at the top.
Yeah, it's lonely at the top, right?
Yeah, it's super lonely, and I have so much space for desks and tables and cool, comfy couches for people to sleep on if they want to take a nap in the middle of the workday.
Do you have private space there? Like anything sort of closed off, or is it all open?
No, there are 2 interior walls, and there's a door to the bathroom and a door to the entrance.
Okay,
and that's it.
Because I just one of the ideas, because we have in Victoria, we have lots of sort of like we got a lot of retail space that's gone empty, and everybody wants to build a co-working space here, and so everybody and their dog is like, we should share this space, we should do this. And I just had a coffee before I got on this call with a lady, and we're looking at these different spaces, and there's a local TV station, and they've got some space. And we started talking about, could we do something that's not just co-working, but something where we bring in, like I have all of my, my mics and my high def cameras. I've got my DSLR. I've got all the lighting equipment, all the webinar tools. Could we create a space that allows, small business to have access to these like higher powered tools? And then, through like sort of a co-branding or like, sponsored by, or, give credit to the company to be able to use these tools. And so we started thinking about like, how do we empower businesses to do cool stuff? And so I just sort of throw that out to you there. That's one thing that we're looking at here is I'd love to be able to set up almost like a studio where people can come in and do headshots, or they could do like quick videos for their business and promo stuff and have backgrounds, or be able to do a webinar on the fly rather than, trying to do it out of their home and have to get all the equipment. And like, that's when we were talking about that headache of like ramping things up. If you can create something like that, as an add-on, and I'm always looking for event space or workshop space locally. That's something that's really, really cool. Brown Boy Studios. What's that? Brown. Oh, that's Breather.
That's something like there's a company that's based out of Montreal that it's called Breather. I just put up a link to it.
Oh, that's cool.
And what they do is they it's kind of like you can put up your own space up there. So it's kind of like another version of Airbnb or one of those places. Okay. And so if you had a closed off room within your space, then you could just have that room, and then they sign up for it. And then you just go in, I guess you get some type of, they figure out the access to it, but you have to provide Wi-Fi and a bathroom and, stuff like that.
Cool.
And so that's a local Montreal company that's doing that. And I helped actually with one of the companies that I work for. We did an advertising pitch for them. And so it was a small world because, good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I think co-working.
They're not in LA. Oh, that sucks.
Well, create it, man.
Yeah. See,
you could be the next Breather. Breather Network.
Going down there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many cool places in LA.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh man, we were just there. We were in Malibu, went to Hollywood, and it was good. Really good.
Hey, listen, guys, I have to fly right now because I've got a dinner thing coming here real soon, and
yeah, I gotta
get going on that, or I could be running late.
Tina, I'm gonna shoot you a message, and we can connect offline. Happy to help you out. We'll do like a 30-minute call. See if I can give you some ideas, and trying to want to connect. Let's connect and chat. And I think I'm going to shut it down in like 2 minutes here. If anybody has any last ideas or any questions, throw it out. But I think this was fun. I was going to do it in an hour. We did like an hour and 45, which is pretty kick-ass. I think this was fun. And I'm going to do it each week, probably around the same time, and just talk business. So if people have questions, tweet me, send me a message, go on my blog. I'm going to put my blog up here if you want to, free advice and a whole bunch of cool shit.
I would actually love to connect with you some other time, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I will follow you on Twitter,
yep.
And maybe you can shoot me a message.
Yeah,
with a way to contact
Let's
me.
do
Like
it.
an email.
Let's have a chat. Okay. We'll have like a real blab, not like a group blab.
Yeah, we're professional.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, baby. Totally. I love it. Any? I'm gonna wait 2 seconds. Any other questions on the side before I shut it down? 5,
okay, I'm gonna
4,
take
3,
off.
2. Peace out, Bunker.
So thank you so much. Nos vemos. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Okay, man. Talk to you soon. Bye. All right. So thank you, Trent. We'll connect offline and we'll go from there. And thank you everybody for joining the first Whiskey Friday. I'm gonna keep it going.